Hey everyone, I'm your host Nicole and welcome to the Intuition Age, a podcast where we question everything we know to be true. I encourage you to use your intuition and inner knowing to formulate your own conclusions about the world before us. So on today's episode, we will be discussing a highly popularized and polarized concept, the idea of twin flames. This twin flame phenomenon is one that has been romanticized, glamorized, and even misconstrued. There's a lot of confusion and inconsistency when discussing twin flame, twin soul, karmic, and even soulmate connections, which probably stems from our very human, very biological desire to attain love and affection. There isn't a definable explanation of what a twin flame is, what constitutes a twin relationship, or what is even entailed in this entanglement. But there is some truth to the evolution and ascension of those who have entered into an authentic twin union. Here to share her personal journey of ascension through the lens of her twin flame connection is the beautiful Katherine Wehler. Katherine is a fellow podcaster, astrology and human design coach, and 23rd dimensional Akashic record reader. In this two-part series, we'll be deconstructing this magnetization between two souls and conceptualizing what it means to exist in union beyond the physical plane. So let's all expand our heart centers and welcome Katherine to the show. Hi, Katherine. Welcome to the Intuition Age.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing so well. How are you?
I'm doing well. So I'm so excited to have you on talking about twin flames today. There is a lot of hype surrounding this topic recently. I hear so many people coming to me and asking questions just like, is that person my twin flame? Is he just a soulmate or she? And I don't know, I really want us to investigate that and debunk like twin flame relationships and the ascension process, and even just like differentiate between soulmates, soul connections, twin flames, and all of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Why don't we just start by examining what a twin flame is? Because it's a word that's tossed around so freely now. So like, what exactly is it?
Yeah, so twin flames, I like to call twin flames soulmates on steroids. Because basically everyone in your life is a soulmate. And then you have romantic soulmates. But twin flames, there is a soulmate that comes into your life where a lot of people talk about it like this whole karmic journey and all of this stuff. And I do think maybe in this older paradigm that was the case. I think in this new paradigm, we're shifting into relationships that are a little bit more harmonious and less driven by all of this karma talk, right? But basically, twin flames, the story goes that Zeus split the humans and that they were originally...
I love this Greek mythology.
Yes. Me too. And so, so the story goes that the mythology behind the twin flame is that originally, humans were made up of a feminine and a masculine part, and that Zeus split them in half. And that is why people are so interested in romantic love and all of this, because they're searching for their quote unquote other half. Now, the funny thing about twin flames that we're going to get into, of course, is that it's not at all about this is my other half, but really that, you carry the same soul frequency. And so I always tell people too, when you meet your twin flame, you just know. Like I said in my own podcast when I talked about this, you either have blue eyes or you have brown eyes, and you can't really make your eyes look like anything else. It either is or it isn't. And it's the same thing with twin flames. And even when I'm communicating with clients who think they may be a twin or something, I'm like, there's no think you may be. like you're gonna have all of these strange synchronicities and maybe spirit dreams and feelings around your twin that you literally don't feel around anyone else. There's no gray area. It feels so different. And it also is one of those things where a lot of spiritual teachers just don't have a twin flame. That's not their journey. And because it's just one kind of way to awaken. And so when you don't have a twin flame, again, it's really hard to understand exactly what it is. And so they'll say things like, oh, they're just another soulmate or
Mhm.
this sort of thing. And I just always go, well, it's because you're not, that you don't know how it feels. And I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but, but
So those people though
yeah.
that don't have twin flames, do they like encompass this divine masculine and feminine energy like perfectly, like fully balanced? Like what's the reason why their twin doesn't exist?
So I don't know if it's so much that the twin doesn't exist. I think it's more so that, because even with twin flames too, it's not that one has the feminine masculine, or one has the feminine
Mm,
energy and one has the masculine energy. We all have divine feminine and divine
mhm,
masculine. It's just that in twin flames, your twin comes in to remind you of that side of you, right? They're that
mm,
divine mirror for you. And so when they come in to remind you of this, they reflect back to you your own divine masculine or your own divine feminine. So I wouldn't necessarily say that there's a differentiation in people who are twins or aren't twins. And the way that I've been shown it too is it's possible that everyone's a twin. It's
mm,
possible that it's only one phase of your soul journey in which you're a twin. I mean, there's so many different ways to look at it. I even had a past life regression where I was shown the actual mechanics of merging our souls together
ooh.
and then
Ooh, can you
separating us.
tell us about that?
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, so I specifically went into my last past life regression with my regression therapist, Felicia Mason, shout out. And she's worked with all my star sisters too. And so she led me into this regression, and I specifically said, I want to know more about my twin flame
Mhm,
experience. I want to know more about my connection to this person, the past lives that we had together, because he and I had already talked about that too years ago. The past lives that we thought we had together, that we felt connected to, and all this stuff. So I wanted to see it. And of course, I'm someone who exists within the 11th dimension
mhm,
and channels into the 23rd dimension. So my whole life I've
mhm.
just been completely aware of different timelines and stuff. I kind of can't turn it off. So I already was kind of tuned into it and had an idea, but I enjoy hypnosis because it's sort of like proof.
Yeah.
you know it's not like my conscious awake mind is trying to control the narrative, but it's just whatever comes out. And so, um, with my regressionist, we went under, and it was basically shown to me in one of our Egyptian lives together. After this really intense, end to this Egyptian life, which
Were you
is
human in that
crazy.
lifetime or no?
Yes, I was actually an initiate of Isis in that lifetime.
Oh, wow.
So by that point, it was already a pretty patriarchal society in Egypt. Um, and then for those who know Egyptology, I mean, when it first started, it was very feminine, and then it sort
Mhm.
of went more masculine, more patriarchal as the time went on. And by that point, it was already pretty patriarchal. So I was an underground priestess of Isis. Um, so it was really cool because they showed that part to me first, or I was shown that part in my regression first, and then I was shown the moment with my twin flame, which for both of us was towards the end of that life. And I was even told in my regression that the age that we died in that life is the age that we came together in this life, for both of us.
Oh,
So that was
wow.
cool
That's so
too. Yeah.
interesting. So
Yeah.
then I'm wondering, at the beginning of our soul's, I guess, incarnation in our first lifetimes, is that
Mhm.
when our twin flame is divided? Or I don't even know if that makes sense. Like, is that when our twin flame then starts existing like with us in that lifetime? Or like you were saying, that Egyptian experience you had, is that when your twin flame journey began? Like, does it always
Yes.
happen in the first incarnation, or could it happen like, in this incarnation for us for the first time?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I know that I've lived this is okay, this is a theory, let's say, because there's no way to know for
No,
sure, you know.
Katherine, it's an inner
Yeah,
knowing.
exactly. Yeah, I know that people always say that. They're like, "But I can tell, you just know." And I'm like, "Well, some things I do." And but at the same time, it's fun for me to be like, "Well, what if
Theory,
I
yeah.
don't?" Exactly. Yes, yeah, because, but yeah, okay, so this is how I was shown it, which I think will make a little bit more sense. So I remember past lives from like Atlantis,
Mhm.
right? Which chronologically came before ancient Egypt. So, and I remember him in past lives from Atlantis. Now, whether we were twin flames at that point, I'm not quite sure, to be quite honest. But I know that we were together for sure. Um, so in this Egyptian life, what it showed to me as soon as I died, so he died before me, and then as soon as I died, what happened is in regressions, you see your body, you see your light body come out of your
Mhm.
physical body, right? And so I went through that whole experience, and then up in the star realm, or the realm in which you learn your lessons, as it was shown to me, they basically showed us merging together and then separating apart. So we were holding hands, and then they merged our two bodies, our two spirits, because we were in sort of these white glowing orbs. And then
Yeah.
they merged the two together, and then they separated us apart.
So that's when you
And
became like that was the actual
I
merging
think
of you two
so.
becoming twin flames. Okay.
Yeah, that's what they told me. So that's what they told me. They said, "You've been together before and you'll be together again and you'll continue to come together." And those were their exact words.
Mm.
So I mean, I didn't get to see my Atlantean lifetime yet in a regression. That's the next time. I'm going to specifically request that because I've remembered it since I was, 5 years old. And yeah, so I know, specifically in that lifetime, that's how that happened. So whether
Mhm.
that happens every single life, I haven't been shown yet, or it just happened that one time. And that's when we officially started our journey as twins. But it was shown to me that literally, yes, like you are the exact same soul frequency. That's how you recognize each other. I like to call twin flames complements
Okay.
versus, yeah, because some people say, "Oh, they're so contrasting," and it's like opposites. It's not
I feel like
opposites
that's the
at all.
ideology behind it. Like, even though they mirror everything that's already like encompassed within you, it's still like
Yeah.
a mirrored reflection. So again, like this notion of it being like the opposite, like of them being like your shadow self almost. So like
And
that's
that's
kind of
not at
just
all what it
yeah.
is. And that's the
That's
funniest
such a
thing to me
misconception.
too.
Yeah.
It's such a misconception, and I think it's actually a very dangerous misconception because it
Because
finds
that's where
people.
you find just like people entering toxic relationships, assuming
Exactly.
these people are their twin flames, but in reality, like they're not even soulmates,
Exactly.
like they're not even soul connections. Like,
Yeah, and I see it all the time too I used to watch like videos and stuff with twin flames. I only pay attention to one person now, and that person is Cassidy Kane. She's the only person I know who talks about twin flames who actually gets it right.
because there's
And
so much
explains
false
it
information
correctly.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot because people, I think it's just tainted by our
Mhm.
media and what we consume, and the kind of love stories that we're fed and stuff, which I just want to be really clear. Like there's so much to talk about when it comes to twin flame, but when you ask me the first question, what constitutes a twin flame, or
Mhm.
or what is this relationship? I was like, well, it's not this and it's not that. So what it is it's this mirroring connection. It's this same soul frequency. And it's literally like when you see this person, you see yourself reflected back. Like
Mhm.
when I look into my twin flame's eyes, yes, I see them, but also I see me in a way. And if I am in a shadowy place, then that's what I'm going to see reflected back.
Yeah, it just becomes
So
amplified. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So if I'm in a really good place, which my twin and I have basically been in a great place we're in a platonic relationship and a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful friendship. So grateful for them. Just as a friend, like not even just my twin flame, but just a wonderful person to have in my life. But our entire time together, like I think maybe because we weren't dating and that part never happened, where that usually happens with a lot of twin flames. And so that baggage, that quote unquote karma. I don't really like I said, it's very old paradigm, this idea of karma.
Yeah.
I think we're really moving beyond that because we're realizing that we don't need to suffer in order to evolve. But anyways, I digress. But yeah, but we've always been in a relationship where it's been really, like I said, it's very complementary. And I see this with my clients who are twin flames as well, like true twin flames, where it's really complementary. It's only scary if they're scared of the power of their connection. It's not that one of them is abusive or any of this
Because I
rhetoric
hear
that I see, like I
stories
said.
like all over the
Yeah.
internet that's like, in my past life, my twin flame killed me, or like stuff like that. And I'm like, why
Yeah.
are you presenting these toxic like notions in regards to like what a twin
Right.
flame is? Or just like, again, like abuse is amplified, like stuff like that. I'm like, that's not a real twin flame connection then.
Exactly. And it's very possible that in a past life, your twin flame did kill you. Like
Yeah,
in
who
my
knows
past
who we
life,
were in
I
past lives? Yeah.
accidentally killed my twin flame.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It was this poison that the priestesses knew of to sedate men, and I accidentally gave him too much in that life was what I saw in my regression. But yeah, I mean, I think, but the most important part is this life, right? And so in this life, if that's an abusive relationship, whether that's your twin flame or not, like that's an abusive relationship. You should not be in an abusive relationship. But I think the rhetoric that's really dangerous is that it's supposed to be abusive, quote unquote. So it's really that we're getting away from that. And we have romantic soulmates. Like for those listening who are twin flames, there are romantic soulmates. I have clients whose twin flame has passed, or they just can't be with their twin flame romantically, and they have a romantic soulmate who they love spending their life with. Because at the end of the day, twin flame is not a romantic connection. And that's what people don't understand, because they like to romanticize it. Because when you think about it, it's like, oh, it sounds so nice. You find your complement, your mirror, your energetic frequency. And it is. And a lot of people make beautiful romantic relationships out of their twin flame bond, but not everyone, because at the end of the day, it's a process for awakening. It's just one avenue, one path for awakening. And that's why it's like you either are or you aren't. And it's not, I don't really encourage people to go out looking for a twin flame, because one, I don't think we reincarnate with them all the time. Two, it's still not clear to me whether everybody is or everyone isn't. And three, yes, it's a very sacred relationship, but there's a lot of sacred relationships. And even twin flames can be in other sacred relationships. It's not an either or type of thing or something to strive to want to be. You just are or you aren't, you know?
So let's talk about then how twin flames get incarnated. So like you just said, you just briefly mentioned that we don't necessarily get incarnated with our twin flames in every single lifetime. So how do you know in this lifetime you're going to have that union again? And then also an additional question,
Yeah.
in each lifetime too, are you going to be like, is it like a process for ascending? Is the process the same? Is the union the same? Or is it different in each lifetime?
I think it strengthens as you remember. So each lifetime it becomes stronger because you're working through whatever your own personal stuff is. And they're a tool to help you do that, right? They're a tool to help you find your own mission, to find your own purpose. Both ways, right? Each of the pair is doing that. And so, yeah, I don't think you reincarnate every single time, because I've seen past lives where I didn't know my twin. Like I had one past life where I passed away at 5 years old, and nowhere in that life was it shown to me that I ever met my twin. Maybe later on in that life I would have, or maybe we just were not there at the same time. Like I said, I have one client and really close friend whose twin passed away when they were 19. He committed suicide and took his own life. And so very clearly, he was here at the beginning of this life, and now he's not in this life, and she hasn't met anyone who has his same soul and has his same spirit yet.
What do
Which
you
that's
do
a
in that
possibility
regard, though,
too.
if your twin flame isn't here or they passed away early and you just can't, exist in that union in this lifetime with them? Like, what do you do individually then?
Yeah. Well, something I want to talk about is union, because this is a big topic in twin flame
Yeah, what
society
is the union?
and like twin flame rhetoric. Yeah. So union, okay, so union is the literal union of your two souls, right? So it's when you finally are able to accept and acknowledge, okay, this person is my twin, and also I'm going to use this relationship in a really positive way, in a way to grow my mission. Because every twin flame couple, that's the reason they come together, is because they have this divine mission. We are here to help serve humanity. And so I always, the very first mindset shift, I'm like, what are words? The very first mindset shift that I give my clients is you're always in union. Because one, time is not linear. Two, we're existing in multiple dimensions, multiple timelines. It's a multiverse, right?
Mhm.
So you're always in union. It's literally just from this three-dimensional perspective that you have here, this very singular, small perspective, that you think that you're not in union. So whether your twin has passed on, or you feel like maybe they're just not born yet, but you can feel it coming, or you feel like they're going to enter into your actual physical reality, it doesn't really matter. Like, you are together no matter what. It just may not be that you're together in this timeline from your three-dimensional perspective.
Mm.
So you're always in union. Now, can you be in, physical, three-dimensional, I can see it right here and right now union? Absolutely. But that only comes when you acknowledge that you're in union all the
Mhm.
time already. There's no striving to get into union. You just are or you aren't. And so, same thing. I woke up one morning back in December 2018, and I literally woke up with the message, union is here. And it makes perfect sense, because I had finally accepted that we are always in union. And it doesn't matter if I wasn't talking to them or anything like that.
Mhm.
Like, we still have that connection. And so, and technically you're connected to everyone in the universe too, right? So it's just that
Mhm.
this connection again is for your awakening process. That's why it feels like a soulmate on steroids, because it really is this divine partnership, and that can look like anything.
Mhm.
And so I think it's really limiting when in the twin flame community people talk about like, oh, we are or we aren't in union, because you always are.
Okay, so that was such a good explanation about like what the union is and just like the interconnectedness of us with our twin flames, but also us with literally every single thing in the multiverse.
Yeah.
So let's just like examine though the separation process too. So say you do
Mhm.
get in contact with your twin flame in this like projected physical reality right now.
Yeah.
What happens then if it just like doesn't necessarily work out or to separate for some reason? What do you do in that regard? Should you still be like trying to attain this union, or do you just like let that separation exist in hopes that like you may be reunited again in this lifetime or future lifetimes? Like, what do you do?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And I think that that's the topic that's on everyone's minds too, right? It's like, because most people, when they do meet their twin flame, it is romantic, because it's like that kind of energy. It is that unconditional love. Like,
Mhm.
that is what the twin flames are all here to teach. That's why I connect with them so strongly, because I hold so much heart chakra energy. And that's the main chakra that I work with too, right? And especially because we're literally ascending into the fifth dimensional timeline
Mhm.
too, that's very heart chakra focused. So it makes sense that this is something that is really coming up for people, because at the end of the day, the mission for the twin flames right now is to teach that unconditional love. So again, we're never in separation,
Mhm.
right? So it's just from our physical three-dimensional thing, because anyone who's in a real twin flame relationship will tell you that they have dreams about them. They can
Mhm.
feel them. They all of a sudden see their name everywhere, or a friend mentions them or something, right? So it's like you're never really in separation. And
Mhm.
again, the way you come back into physical non-separation, we'll call it, instead of union, but physical being in the same place at the same time together or talking together is through understanding that, right? Through understanding that you're never actually in separation. And also, I do think that separation gets a bad rep when actually for most folks that I know, separation is the most
it's just so expansive. Like that's when all
it's
the
so
growth,
expansive.
yeah,
That's
and
exactly what I was
evolution
just gonna
happens.
say. It's the most I find that for most people, that's when the most growth happens
Mhm.
because that's when you really understand that this person came into your life, this twin flame came into your life so that you can remember who you are and so that you can remember your mission and so that you can work through anything that's holding you back from doing that. Like I even started my business that I have now because of my twin flame. And I told them that too, which they really liked. But
Was
it's
this
like,
when you two were in separation?
this was, so we haven't talked for years
Mhm.
except over the phone. We're long distance from each other. And like I said, it's always just been platonic. Like we've always just been really good friends. Um, but we spoke last in September. And so I guess from your three-dimensional physical viewpoint, that was the last time like we weren't in
Mhm.
separation, but yeah, and
But
it was
from the
just like a
multidimensional, you two are obviously
right.
existing
Oh,
in union. Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I have dreams all the
Mhm.
time, like all the time.
Are
Like
they
that's
dreams
like
or are they astral projection? I can't even speak either. Are they astral projections?
honestly, I think that all dreams are astral
Mhm.
projections. Like, I think that's what the dreaming space is. I think you go into a higher dimensional frequency every single time that you're asleep
Mhm.
because it turns off your like monkey brain,
Yeah.
and then you're able to access that higher frequency. But yeah, and there's definitely a difference too. I mean, I have dreams with them that feel like all my other dreams, and they're very symbolism driven and all of this stuff. And then I have what I call my spirit dreams. And this is another like litmus test if someone is wondering, is this relationship twin flame or not? Like, do I want to put that label on it? Do I want to identify as this? One of the things that I say is a lot of twin flames have what I call spirit dreams, where it feels like this bright white heavenly light and it's literally just like the energy of unconditional love. And I've had so many of those, and they're really sacred every single time I
Mhm.
have them. They're very different and distinct from all my other dreams. Even though I mean I dream like in Spielberg movies. I have these epic
That's
dreams
like
and they
me.
show up. Yeah, and they show up sometimes in those dreams, but
Mhm.
then I have these spirit dreams and that's on a whole other level. And so again, I think it's just dimensional frequency and I think it's all astral traveling,
Mhm.
to be honest. But yeah, I mean, and it's beautiful. It really is. Like, I really appreciate them. They always fill me up with a lot of love. It always feels like, okay, great. I'm moving in the right direction. I'm accomplishing my mission and getting out my message. And you are too. And that's great. We're doing that. Even though it's quote unquote in this three-dimensional separation, we're each doing it individually right now.
Yeah.
Like we're not working together as a pair on the physical plane, but I know that in a higher dimensional perspective, we absolutely are
Are.
because, yeah, our missions completely line up with one another and are all about, giving a voice to others and
Mhm.
helping in our communities, giving people a platform to speak and to love themselves again and feel worthy in themselves again. And so it's really cool. Like we're each doing it in our own way. Like he's doing it in a very divine masculine way, and I'm doing it in a very divine feminine way. But I think we each have a nice balance at this
Mhm.
point of those two energies, just from our own personal experiences in the quote unquote separation. But yeah, I think we grow so much in that time, and that every single stage of the twin flame journey is so beautiful. I had a client who is in her 70s and she has a twin flame who she's never romantically been with, but they have been friends their whole
Mhm.
life. And he's been married to someone else, she's been married to someone else. And it was really sweet because she was like, next lifetime we'll get to actually really
Oh,
be together, you know? And that
that's just
that
so
really,
pure.
it was so pure because that's what it is it's that belief. Again, like we're connected to
Mm,
everyone. So I don't want to frame it in this like romantic way, but a lot of twins do feel those romantic feelings for their twin because when you feel that unconditional love, how
mhm,
could you not? Right. And so if you're in that place, it's like our our souls are so much more expansive than we realize. Like this is just a one life. This is
mm,
like one little tiny little blip on the whole
yeah,
screen. And so when you're able to take a step back from it, and instead of like being triggered by your twin in this three-dimensional perspective or feeling this separation in this three-dimensional perspective, take it to the higher dimensional perspectives and take a bird's eye view and go, okay, well, what really matters then in
mhm,
this space and time for me personally, right? Because when you focus on yourself, that's when you're focusing on the pair and on the actual twin flame journey because you yourself are so important to that
mhm,
journey that you have to find your authenticity, your worth, and your own
mm,
direction before you can ever imagine what that looks like with a partner, whether it's a twin
yeah.
flame or a sacred soulmate.
Does it ever exist where one of the twin flames starts ascending and like they focus on themselves, but the other one like remains stuck?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And like I said, that's where you have to have that healthy detachment
Mhm,
of, I'm going to focus on my journey. I mean, and again, it's the same with anyone that you're around is when you're focused on your own evolution, when you're focused on yourself and your own, vibration and all that good stuff, that's when everyone around you starts to
mhm,
change. Not when you're trying to grasp and get them to do what you want them to do, right? But when you're actually just focused on yourself vibrationally, you attract everything around you. So it's like people can't help but be influenced by it, but
mhm.
you have to change that within yourself first. And so I see this all the time
Mhm.
too. I just want to say, like, that happens all the time where people are so focused on, like, well, when are they calling me back? Or what are they
Mhm.
doing? And I'm like, well, what are you doing? You're spending all your time thinking about
Waiting
when
for
are they
them
going
to
to,
call you. Yeah.
yeah. I'm like, you're totally giving over all of your power when, like, what this is really about is awakening you. And if you're awakened, like, let's work on the
Mhm.
ascension. And I always want to frame it too as a re-ascension. Like we've done this before. You know what I mean? Like our soul goes through this over and over
Mhm.
again. And so it's we're all doing it in our divine timing and you can't rush them and they can't rush you. And so when you just focus on, okay, what can I do for myself? Right? And sometimes that is that, say they're in a really bad place and you're like, I want to have kids, I want to have a family,
Mhm.
then maybe that's opening up to, well, then I can have that with a sacred soulmate, right? A romantic soulmate. Versus like waiting around for them or giving over your power, just giving over your life, waiting for them is not
What do
healthy.
you
Your
do
soul
then
doesn't
in a
want that.
situation where, say, you know that someone is your twin flame, like you feel that divine connection with them, but they're unaware? Like, again, say they're going through trauma right now, they're living in a very like three-dimensional realm. And of course, you two are connected through like the
Yeah.
multiverse and multi dimensions. But in this realm, like, should you intervene if you see your like twin flow? If you see your twin flame just like struggling,
Yeah.
or like, what do you do?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to vary person by person. So you want to make sure that you're operating from the soul self and not operating from the ego in anything that you do,
Mhm.
like in any kind of communication with them or anything like that. Like I actually recently told my twin flame that we're twin flames, funnily enough. And I didn't want to. Like my ego self was like, nope, no, I don't want to reach out. I don't want to do it. Like you can't make
Mhm.
me. And all of my guides and my spirit self and my soul self were like, yeah, this is it's time. They
It's
need
time,
to
yeah.
know. Yeah, and this is for both of your benefits. And sure enough, as soon as I did it, I felt this incredible weight lifted off of me.
Mhm.
Like, oh my God, I'm no longer keeping this secret,
Yeah.
from them of what this relationship
And did
really
they
is.
feel
And
that connection too?
yes, they have, but they haven't responded yet
Mm.
to my message. about being twin flame, but we've said it without using those
Mhm.
words. But
Mhm.
we've communicated all of this, just without using those words.
'Cause it could
Yeah.
be fearful too, just, like, acknowledging the fact that another soul has been with you for so many lifetimes, like, they're a carbon footprint of
Mhm.
yourself. Like, that's scary, like, sometimes you don't wanna make that acknowledgement.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, and like I said, that's why it has to come from the soul self,
Mm.
and it has to happen in divine timing. Because if you try to rush it, if your ego is like, pay attention to me, or, just anything like that, it's just not going to work. It's
Mhm.
just, and I think always surrendering to the process, right? It's like my client who's 70 and just said, next lifetime,
Yeah.
this lifetime was great. I had a wonderful daughter, I had a wonderful husband. Yeah, I didn't get to be with my twin flame romantically like we wanted to
Mhm.
be, but next lifetime, right? Or even, things can shift and things can change so quickly, especially in this accelerated
Mhm.
timeline that we're in. I mean, things are changing day by day. And so I told her that. I said, his wife could decide to divorce him
Yeah.
tomorrow and you're single now and that could happen, right? It's like never say never.
Mhm. Mhm.
But when you're just open to, I'm just going to follow day to day what my soul self, what my spirit guides are giving me as direction and what feels good to me, what
Mhm.
authentically feels good to me in this moment, not 5 years from now, not 10 years from now, but my alignment in this moment. And I
Mhm.
think if you follow that day by day, like it's all going to work out. You don't even really need to stress and get into the semantics of this life or next life because like I said, it all just blends together
Mhm.
anyways.
Can we talk about the actual process of, like, meeting and interacting with your twin flame in, like, this
Yes.
three-dimensional projected reality? So, like,
Yeah,
that
that's actually
instant,
one of my
like
favorite
yeah, like,
topics.
magnetic connection, and then, like,
Yes.
how does the process usually evolve? Like, how does it unfold?
Yeah. So, okay.
Just, like, generically, like, obviously, each twin flame journey is different, so let's just talk,
Yeah.
like yeah,
So let me
generally.
talk about something that for all of my clients across the board, they feel this. Or I would say most of my clients across the board feel this, is that when they meet their twin flame, it's not like a love at first sight sort of thing.
Mm.
It's sort of like a bitch slap to the face from the universe that is sort of like, wake up. And I just want to say that because, I've been in love, like I've been in romantic love before I met my twin flame and everything. And it was such a different feeling. Like it's a very conscious connection.
Mhm.
Like that's the difference is it's just this very conscious connection that is for the reason of your awakening. And so when you meet them, a lot of people experience this heart chakra expansion. I certainly did. Um, the very first time that I met them, we were across the room for each other, and it was like just for a split second. And it was basically like, hi, 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 hi. Okay, bye. And then I didn't see them for months. And that's when I had my dark night of the soul. And I
Mhm.
guess that is what you could call our first separation after being our souls being aware of each other
But did you
in this
initially, even in
three-dimensional
that
reality.
short interaction, feel like just, like, a magnetic connection to them?
Yes.
Like,
So
even if it
this is
was, like,
what
kind of, like,
happened.
feeling anxious or, like, "What the heck is this?" You know?
Yeah. So this is what happened. So like I said, we were across the room from
Mhm.
each other. So I couldn't look into their eyes. Like I just saw them. So this is what happened.
Mhm.
And in that moment, I knew two things. And one of those is very personal and I can't share. But the other one was that this person is going to change my life. And it was in a way that I had never experienced before. And I again, like I was so depressed and I was so anxious back then that I just was not even on a
Mhm.
frequency to be able to understand what all of that meant. And up until that point, because I'm psychic, and so I had a vision that my school was going to have a shooting, and sure enough, that's exactly what happened,
Oh my
and I predicted
god.
it. Yeah, so I was sort of in a place where I thought, "Oh, if I feel that feeling, it means
Mhm.
something bad." Right? Like I was in a really negative space like that. But I just remember feeling lighter after meeting them
And like
just
hopeful too.
and hopeful, yeah, and I was moving to this new
Mm.
city, and I was leaving that city, and I just remember feeling, like, so drawn to that city for some reason. I mean, there was no logical explanation
Mhm.
whatsoever,
Mhm.
like, whatsoever for me to go to this city. It was completely just me feeling completely drawn to it, and that was the city in which they live and they grew up in and all of this, and so
And did you know that before you felt drawn to it or no?
oh, no. No, no, no. I did
Oh,
not know of
wow.
this
So
person.
so divine.
No.
Yeah, that's so divine.
No. You know, I had had dreams. I'd had dreams and I had
Mhm.
feelings since I was a little girl that I had a soul counterpart. Like, I was well aware of that.
Mhm.
And I'd never heard of twin flame or anything like that. I didn't even know about the term twin flame until we were in our
Mhm.
separation or whatever, and, like, for our longer separation where we weren't talking at all. And, yeah, it's so funny because looking back on it, ever since I was little, I remember having a lemonade stand, and I remember singing Macy Gray's "I Try," like, "I
I
try to
tried. Yeah.
say goodbye and not choke." Yeah, and I remember singing
Mm.
this song. I was, like, 7 years old having a lemonade stand, and I was singing this song as if I really knew what it was,
Mhm.
like I really knew what that feeling was. And I remember thinking in that moment, I have a divine soul counterpart. And even when people would ask me about getting married or Prince Charming or whatever, I would always say, I have an equal counterpart.
I love that.
Yeah, like, I would say, like, "There's someone out there who's my equal,"
Mhm.
and it's so funny looking back on it, and then with my first serious boyfriend, he and I were talking about we're gonna get married,
Mhm.
we're gonna spend the rest of our lives together, and something inside of me just kept telling me, "No, no, 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 that's not right, that's not right." And I would have these visions as we were talking about it of the back of this person's head, which looks identical to my twin flame. And so again, and I had no idea about
Mhm.
my twin. Like, I didn't meet them until later in life. And so, but I would have these visions, and it's this very specific place, which sure enough is in their hometown. Yeah,
Wow.
and yeah. So, and I'll tell you more about that when we have our personal debrief. Um, so I don't share too many intimate details, but yeah, it's a place that's in their hometown. And again, I didn't know until I'd, like, already left that city too, which is hilarious that that's what it was. But I'd had those visions when I was 17, and then I started having dreams when I was 16,
Mhm.
of a statue, and that relates to them. And I now understand that connection now, and they were my first spirit dreams. And it was cherry. I remember so clearly it was cherry blossoms
Mhm.
and this statue that relates to them. And this feeling of, like, you've got to help the statue. Like, you're here to help the statue. And it was so strange. I mean, I remember waking up from them feeling like, what?
Yeah.
you
Like,
know?
trying to, like, debrief it, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I had no
Mhm.
idea about Twin Flame when I met them. I didn't even know about them. Like,
See, but
I
then
like
do
I
all
had
those, like,
no
symbols
idea.
and dreams all come together when you actually meet them for the first time? You're like, "Wow, like, that's what the back of the head meant." Like, that's what the statue meant.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was like, "Whoa." Yeah. I mean, and granted, this very first meeting, we were far away from each other. The second meeting, 6 months later,
Mhm.
when I had gone through my dark night of the soul. Like, again, I'm super grateful because I went through all of this so quickly.
Mhm.
Because for me personally, my soul knew we got to get through this fast because by 2020, we need
Yeah.
to be in a place where we're speaking openly and talking.
Wait,
And
when
so,
did you go through your dark night of the soul? Mine was, like, a 2016.
yeah,
Yeah,
2016.
that was a horrible year.
Yeah, I was graduating college, and it was bad. I mean, I
Mhm.
almost took my life, and it was literally, if I had not seen that play out in front of me right before I did it, I would have.
Mhm.
But something inside of me was telling me, no, you're here to tell this story. You're here to live this, not just
Mhm.
do this right now and end it. So, um, when I'm looking back on that experience, it's really crazy because as I was leaving this new city, like, I literally met them right before I got on on the plane to leave. And I just remember thinking, oh, this new city has such good energy. Like, I love it. I can't wait to live here. I just really just has such good energy. And I kept telling people that it has such good energy, were my exact words. And I couldn't pinpoint why. I just knew that I would do my healing there because I was so depressed. I was so anxious. I was so just busy all the time and didn't have time to really focus on myself. And then in the next 6 months, I went through my dark night of the soul. And by the time I was moving to this new city, I'd been through the worst of it. And then I was just super anxious and fearful and agoraphobic, even in this new city. But I met them, and it's so funny because I met them on 8/8.
What? Lionsgate?
So we literally like met for real on Lionsgate. And
Oh, the intensity there, like the energy intensity must have been like insane.
It was a lot. And so we literally met on 8/8. And this time we were close enough that I could actually look into their eyes. And that was when I felt my heart chakra expand. And it was kind of scary even because it literally felt as if something inside of my body, like,
it's like pulling,
just pulling. Yeah. And it wasn't love at first sight. Like, it was literally, it's like, if you're doing yoga and you do one of those heart chakra poses and you can actually feel your body expanding. That's what it felt like. But instantly, like my sternum just ripped wide open. And in their eyes, I saw everything, like everything. And now I know too that they've felt exactly the same way since we met too, which for the longest time I thought it was just me. And I was trying to write it off and think, well, it's nothing. I don't need to think too much about that. And then I found out, sure enough, same experience on their end. But yeah, so in that moment, that was the moment where I could actually look into their eyes, and it was like, boom, like it was like a gong went off.
It's like all the answers. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, not including the podcast, but I do need to end this soon just because we're closing the office and I don't have my key.
Oh no.
But like I definitely want to meet at some point and us like talking about like our journeys and our ascension process because I love doing that with my participants, but like we don't have time today. So I'll definitely message you on Instagram after. But okay, back to podcast. I just want to end off with like one last question. Okay, so Katherine, just to end off, can you offer any advice to anyone who's currently embarking on their twin flame journey in this physical realm, who's on the journey in separation, who may not have a twin flame right now? Any advice or guidance?
Yes, absolutely. That would be to see it as a positive experience. This is a growth-oriented vehicle that your soul literally put into your life for a purpose. So I find the more I try to run away, quote unquote, like the more I think less of them or I think bad things about them or whatever, the more I get the spirit dreams that are like, nope, unconditional love, right? And surrender and trust. And so I would say, just to see it as this beautiful, it's a really sacred experience. And so if you find yourself in this, if you find yourself in the place that I was, Googling, like, what is this feeling that I feel with my friend and what does this mean? Just to see it as, it's for your own individual journey. So focus on the individual journey and the rest will play out, right? Exactly the way it's meant to be. Like, and again, trusting in all of that. Like maybe you're just not meant to be romantically united this lifetime because maybe you're meant to help your romantic soulmate through life too, right? And they're here to help you grow. So it's just really surrendering to the process of what this whole journey is and the mystery and the magic behind it, but also understanding and holding space for this is a really sacred journey. And if you have been tapped, if you have volunteered for this, right, then basically like you're here for a mission, you're here for a purpose. And so the sooner you can tap into what is my mission, what is my purpose on an individual level, right? How do I guide? How do I lead humanity? How do I help heal? How do I teach unconditional love? Then that's when everything is going to feel good because that's literally the reason all of this happened. It's not necessarily for the romantic love story of the century, although for some people that can happen and that's a cherry on top, that's a bonus. But it's interesting in what did my soul want for me, not what did my soul want for Susie Q down the street, right? So trusting in your own individual process.
Yeah. And like trust your inner knowing. Again, like we often go to like external sources of information to try to like comprehend what's happening internally, but it's like we know, like our souls know us best. So just really try to like decipher what messages you're personally getting and like what those symbols mean to you, not what they mean to other people. And again, just like embark on the journey and like really enjoy it. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like we put so much thought into it when we should just be like being in the journey.
Well,
it's just like
and it's
existing
enjoying
in
it. Yeah, it's enjoying it. And it's seeing, what is this lesson teaching me? Right? Like why did this person come into my life? What are they showing me? What are they helping me with? Because often like it's not even that they will specifically do something, but like something in the relationship might trigger one of those core wounds or one of those core fears. And then that's when people start to think, oh, it's this karmic thing, because they think it's a negative thing, but it's actually a really positive thing. It's showing you, where can you grow and where can you grow more into your own authenticity, your own worth, your own deservingness, right? And then let them do that for themselves too. Right. And I think giving them that agency is huge too, for those who know they're in this journey, is give your twin flames space, right? Like let them work it out in their own time. Don't try to push and prod them unless it's, as it was for me recently, your spirit guide's literally saying, okay, it's time to share this. Right.
That's such great advice. Thank you so much for sharing your personal sacred journey with us and just sharing all this great advice as well. I'm really happy we could kind of like debunk some like the twin flame myths that are going around right now and really like dive deep into like the accuracy of it and like the individuality of it. So, Katherine, it was so amazing having you on the Intuition Age. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And I wanted to say too that I did a whole episode on my own journey on my podcast. So if someone really wants to like dive into the details,
we'll be linking everything in the show notes.
I was going to say, since we didn't have a chance to cover all of that, but I did an hour-long episode just of a solo episode where I talk about all the signs and synchronicities and even how to tell if someone is your twin flame. If you are feeling that, you can literally just ask for a very specific sign from the universe and be shown. So if anyone is in that space where they're like,
we're including it, yes. We'll include all the links for sure. I think this was a good introduction into what twin flames are and like the journey and ascension process. And then of course, I feel like people, especially on that journey, they want to dive deeper. They want to know actually like contacting your twin flame and like what that relationship looks like. So definitely going to include all your links, and they could definitely check out all your resources as well.
Beautiful. And thank you so much for giving me the space and having this talk and having your podcast that talks about all these beautiful, wonderful things. I think it's so important for people to hear it.
Thank you. I'm just really about amplifying all your soulful and like evolutionary voices too. I love how we could all share like our inner and deep wisdom with the rest of the world.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
If you feel enlightened and inspired by the Intuition Age, I would be eternally grateful if you head over to Apple Podcasts and leave a rating and review. This platform truly allows me to act as a catalyst for expanding and elevating human consciousness, both individually and collectively. All shares, downloads, and subscribes help me distribute these divine topics to even more conscious souls. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you at the next episode.